Good afternoon. This is Sunday Memorial Day weekend. This video is for Mr. Cody out there in YouTube land. He was inquiring about my old Dodge truck that he saw in the background of my last video. Well, this is a 1996 Dodge Ram 1500. It used to belong to the city in Blue Springs. A tow company bought it from them and they gave it to his son, and his son did a lot of work on it. But you know, when you give something to a kid, they tear it up. Well, when I found it, the transmission was out of it, and I found it on the old internet. I paid more for this vehicle right here than I've ever paid for any other vehicle in my entire life. You know, when these trucks first came out, I wanted one just like everybody else did, with that new front end on it. But you know, that was expensive. You know, working class folks don't have that kind of money. So anyway, I gave almost, I think it was right around $1,200 for this truck with the transmission out of it. And the guy that had it, all he did was play around in the mud puddles with his kids with it, because the transmission wasn't working. I think drive was out of it or something like that. It only had the lower gears. And he lived right by a mud hole, so he got it just to play with his kids. Well, I went to Blue Springs and picked it up, brought it back here, and it sat at my house for, I don't know, probably 5 or 6 months till I got the money saved back up to put a tranny in it. And I took it to my buddy out here in Belton to Extreme Transmission, and they tore it apart and redid it for me. She used to be a little cleaner of a truck when I got it a couple years ago. Right after I got it, got the transmission going anyway, the old tires and wheels were on it were pretty messed up. So to try to save them, I took them up to the local shop up there and had the tires rotated and bounced. Well, when they put them back on, I was going down the road and the tire came off. And when it came off, it smashed in that fender right there. Now the old tire shop would have fixed it for me and fixed the fender, but this is just an old hometown tire shop that my family went to, my grandparents went to. So I just wasn't about to do him like that, because he pretty much did a job for nothing for me for free. But over the last year or so, the rust is starting to take its toll on her, as you can see. The interior of the truck was pretty shot when I got it. You know, the old typical Dodge, if you know anything about Dodges, the seats right here where my hand is, they rip and fall apart. Well, I took it up to one of the shops here in town that I know, Grandview Upholstery, and they redid the seats for me. That was about a year ago. So they did that for me. It needs a new headliner. As you can see, it's starting to fall apart. And yes, this has got the typical Dodge dash in it. As you can see, it's cracking and falling apart on me. I've been trying to find a dash panel at the junkyard for it, but when you find them in the junkyards, they're junk. My brother came over. I had a little raggedy stereo system in this thing. A little bitty raggedy stereo system too. I'm talking about it barely played. It made more squeaking noise than anything else. Well, let's see what kick on here. But he came in here and wired that JVC in for me.
I mean, some of the best vocals from Brent there. With some great
put the speakers in the door. There's a couple, one there and one on the other door. And then back here I got a couple box speakers underneath both seats. And underneath here, got an amp underneath here. So she sounds pretty good when she's cranked up. See if I can find a channel here that's got some music on it. And when you know it, when you want something with some music, nothing's playing.
These aren't small bands.
Ain't that weird?
Don't ignore this.
Here's a little country music.
I know everybody says money can't.
I mean, it's not real loud, but it sounds pretty good. It's all big good. And it has a standard 318 in it. The old motor's pretty worn out, I ain't gonna lie. It's got a couple 100,000 miles on it. But she starts right up and runs good. I've been wanting to put a little hotter motor in here But for you guys out there that know anything about Dodges, everything for a Dodge for some reason is real expensive. I don't understand it, but they are. I can build a Chevy 350 motor, put about 300 horsepower to it for under $1,000. You want to do that to that Dodge motor, it's going to cost you over a couple grand. I don't understand why it's like that with a Dodge, but it is. Now I don't drive this truck very often. As you know, I'm in that tow truck of mine all day long, every day. I bet I don't put 100 miles a month on this truck. But not to say I wouldn't be afraid to get in this truck and go anywhere in the world I want to go in it, because it will go. See if you can hear the exhaust. Typical Dodge sound. Well, Mr. Cody, I hope that explains things to you. Oh, and here's another thing. You know about spraying bed liners. The guy that had the truck before me, you notice here in the bed, they did a spray and bed liner, but it's almost the same color as the truck. Which I thought was pretty cool. She's a good truck. And every time I get in this truck and take it to town, somebody always wants to buy it from me. They always stop me, they always talk to me wanting this truck. Well, that answered your question, Mr. Cody. Here in a minute, I'll show you my other two vehicles that another customer, another person on YouTube wanted to know about. So give me just a second and I'll bring that up. Now this is for the other YouTube person on here. I don't know if you're a guy or a girl, I'm sorry. They didn't give their name. But my other vehicles I have at my house. First off, besides my Dodge truck that you know I love and cherish with all my heart, I have this here. Now, I told you I spent good money on that Dodge truck. That's not the way I do things. I just wanted it, had to have it. All those people out here know what that feels like. This thing here I found here a while back was just sitting in somebody's yard. Sitting there on flat tires. This is a 2005 or 06 Ford Freestyle. Little SUV thing. All-wheel drive, we got 3.0 in it. I gave the guy $200 for it. I didn't jewel him on it or nothing. That's the price he was asking. I didn't even hear it run. I figured if it didn't run, if I got it home and couldn't get it going, my boss would give me my money back because he runs a junkyard down there. I got it here, put tires on it, fired it up, got a battery in it, got it started, and it fired off. Motor sounded perfect. It was missing though. So I had to take the intake off and replace the back 3 coil packs on it. And this thing runs like a dream. I mean, it drives down the road perfect and smooth. The only damage wrong with the car body itself is the back bumper right here. Looks like they backed into a truck or something, backed into the back end of it right there. But for $200, I couldn't complain. Now the other reason why I bought this, because the things that people don't know about me is, I like to have a project at home. I buy cars, I fix them if I can, and I sell them. Trying to make extra money, because you know you're not gonna make a lot of money driving a tow truck. But this thing's all leather interior, and when this thing came out, this thing had all the bells and whistles that the dealership offered back then. That thing right there is actually a DVD player for the kids, and it actually works. But the kicker of it is this thing has 300,000 miles on it. That's a lot of miles. The people that owned it lived in Wisconsin. They were driving back and forth from Wisconsin down here to Kansas City about once a month, a couple times a month for his family. That's that one. So anyway, I got it running, got it legal, and I kept it as a personal vehicle. You can't ask for much more. AC, everything on this car works. I mean, everything. I wasn't gonna give it up. For $200, and I got probably another $150 in it, so I got, what, about, I'll say $300 or $400 invested in that car. You know, we're keeping that. Okay. My newest project I have is this bad boy right here. This is a 91 Chevrolet Silverado 1500. I ran across this at a shop here not too long ago. Now I want you to stand back and look at it. This thing says slow to the ground. It's got big fat tires on it. Now I usually don't try to get a vehicle from a car dealership or a shop because they always want way too much money and I don't want to deal with it. But the old boy come out and shot me a price of $300 for it, just the way it sits, just the way it looks right now. The body is straight. It has no rust nowhere on this car. On this truck. The only thing wrong with it is you can see the old clear coat's peeling on it. That's the only thing wrong with the body. And it's got its typical few scratches here and there. I basically stowed this truck. The old man that had it overheated it and the motor's trashed. I was going to fix the motor in it, put a set of head gaskets on it, and I got it running, and I heard the bottom end knocking in it. So my plans with this truck here is, it's screaming a hot rod motor. At least a 355 Chevrolet in it, something. About 300-400 horsepower. It's calling, it needs it. I know where I can get some motors at right now. Stock motors go right back in its place for under $200 or $300. Good motors. But I don't want a stock motor for this. To me, this thing screams hot rod. I need a play toy. And I want to put one in it. It's a good looking truck. Just can't say enough about it. And I almost got started a couple days ago on it. I was going to work on it and start putting the motor together for it. And then, you know, this towing thing came up with the other people. So, you know, I don't know if my job's secured or not, so I didn't want to invest the money in it. So I'm just going to let it set. Inside's in good shape, it's just dirty as can be. But this thing screams play toy. Anyway, that's a look at my cars. I hope that answers some more of you guys' questions. Thank you. You know what to do, and like and subscribe. And Mr. Cody on these here trucks came out with 16-inch tires. I forgot to mention earlier, right now this thing has, I went to Tires Plus here in Belton, and it has 285 70 R17s on it. I went in there with about $1,200, $1,300, something like that in my pocket. Wanted tires and wheels because the other ones on here that were on here were junk. And the boy came with a price a little bit more than I had, and I told him I'd have to come back or kind of make payments. And he said, well, what do you got in your pocket? And I just told him $1,000. And the guy came back and he sold me these tires on wheels for $999. So it's having sold. So I was putting a transmission in it, putting the tires on wheels under it. See the treads on it. I kept it pretty much street, with a little bit of meat to them. I've had the whole front end redone. I've done all the ball joints in it, lower and upper A-arms, ball joints. I've had the A-arms redone on it, the bushings. I've had the interior done on this truck. Put a new drive shaft in it because the other drive shaft had a big old dent in it. So, but the rust is finally starting to get a hold of it. And I'm not good at body work, so I don't know what I'm gonna do yet. I don't know if I'm gonna sell the old truck or I'm gonna keep it. I just don't know yet. Like I said, I love this truck to death. It's my baby, but I don't drive it very much, and it just sits out here in the freaking sun. All right, folks, thank you. I appreciate all the love and support you guys have given me. Hope you guys are enjoying your weekend. Thank you now.